Picture a silent universe, brimming with hidden architecture, wandering rogue planets, and ancient oceans locked beneath miles of pristine quiet ice. Deep within this staggering cosmic expanse, trillions of unseen galaxies drift like scattered islands of light, holding chemical secrets older than time itself. If we were to look closer at the dark spaces between the stars, we might even find the sleeping infrastructure of dormant giants, waiting patiently for the cosmos to cool. Imagine a phantom sphere of invisible energy, carrying the faint rhythmic echoes of our very first radio broadcasts out into the deep, unresisting void. This expanding bubble of human history is currently washing over distant, alien shores, a ghostly and unintentional greeting travelling forever at the speed of light. Surprisingly, the great silence we hear in return might not be an empty void at all, but a carefully curated sanctuary designed to let us mature in absolute peace. To truly grasp the scale of this isolation is to recognise that we are a rare, blooming spark of consciousness in a galaxy that heavily guards the threshold of life. We are the fortunate survivors of a billion-year biological journey, resting comfortably on a pale blue dot that serves as a vital and protected oasis. Recognising the deep oceans of time behind us helps us calmly accept our recent quiet arrival on this grand cosmic stage without any lingering anxiety. This cosmic structure is vast, intricately balanced, and profoundly patient, operating on a slow timescale that gracefully dwarfs our own fleeting days. The enduring mystery of our apparent isolation is not a reason for existential fear, but a magnificent open invitation to let your imagination wander freely through the beautiful dark. You're about to embark on a deeply relaxing journey through 101 soothing truths about our unique place in this sprawling, majestic design. Deep within the heavy comfort of your own room, the undeniable weight of gravity holds you perfectly secure against the soft, welcoming layers of your bed. Notice the gentle, rhythmic rise and fall of your own breath, acting as a steady internal anchor in a universe defined by endless, swirling motion. You are safe, perfectly protected from the cold vacuum, and these quiet celestial wonders are yours to inherit as you finally surrender to sleep. Let go of the waking world entirely, allowing your consciousness to drift upward and outward, leaving the familiar earth behind to float among the ancient fires. The exhausting work of the day is finished for now, the sprawling universe is at peace, and the grand, starry night is waiting to welcome you home. Standing beneath a clear, dark sky, the soft glow of the Milky Way washes over the horizon like a river of pale light. Standing beneath a clear, dark sky, the soft glow of the Milky Way washes over the horizon like a river of pale light. The sheer number of stars scattered across the celestial vault seems infinite, a sparkling canopy that has inspired wonder since the dawn of humanity. Yet, this breathtaking display is merely a local illusion, a tiny bubble of visibility in an unimaginably vast ocean. Naked human eyes can only perceive a few thousand individual points of light on the clearest of nights. Every single star we can see without a telescope belongs to our immediate galactic neighbourhood, situated within a few thousand light-years of Earth. Beyond this modest sphere, the rest of our galaxy dissolves into the milky haze that gives our cosmic home its name. This humbling realization shifts our perspective entirely, shrinking our visible universe down to a localized cluster of nearby suns. The overwhelming majority of the cosmos remains hidden from our unaided sight, silently waiting in the profound darkness. Our grandest night sky is simply the front porch of a sprawling unseen metropolis. Deep within the observable universe, the scale of existence expands far beyond the boundaries of our own familiar galaxy. Powerful telescopes staring into seemingly empty patches of space have uncovered a dizzying tapestry of cosmic structures drifting calmly through the void. These instruments reveal that the dark patches between our local stars are actually crowded with distant galactic islands, Astronomers now estimate that over 2 trillion individual galaxies populate the sphere of the universe we can currently observe. Each of these magnificent spirals and glowing ellipses is a self-contained system, swirling with its own unique collection of gas, dust, and stellar phenomena. They are scattered across billions of light years, forming a magnificent cosmic web held together by the invisible threads of dark matter. Wandering through this unimaginable expanse, our own Milky Way is reduced to a single, indistinct speck of light among trillions of peers. The sheer volume of these galaxies defies human comprehension, turning the night sky into a profound testament to the universe's boundless creativity. In this staggering grandstand of creation, we are but a quiet whisper in a roaring stadium. Focusing our gaze back upon our own cosmic island, the true density of the Milky Way begins to come into sharp relief. This barred spiral galaxy is a churning metropolis of luminous energy, stretching across the darkness in a delicate, glowing disk. To grasp its internal scale requires abandoning earthly numbers and embracing the mathematics of the sublime. Current astronomical surveys suggest that somewhere between 100 billion and 400 billion individual stars call the Milky Way home. From ancient cool red dwarfs burning steadily in the galactic halo to brilliant short-lived blue giants illuminating the spiral arms, the variety is staggering. Each of these glowing spheres is a massive nuclear furnace, quietly fusing elements in the cold vacuum of space. If you were to count one star every second, it would take thousands of years just to tally the celestial citizens of our own galaxy. This localized abundance provides a fertile dynamic environment where the raw materials for cosmic evolution are constantly churning and mixing. Even as a single galaxy among trillions, our local starry expanse feels endlessly profound. Orbiting these hundreds of billions of suns is an even more staggering multitude of hidden worlds, peacefully tracing their paths in the dark. For centuries, humanity could only guess whether other stars hosted their own planetary systems, or if our sun was a solitary anomaly. Modern astrophysics has emphatically answered this question, revealing a galaxy teeming with diverse and varied exoplanets. Statistical models based on the planetary transits we have already observed indicate that planets actually outnumber the stars themselves. This means there are likely over 1 trillion worlds spinning silently within the boundaries of the Milky Way alone. They range from massive gas giants swept by supersonic winds to small rocky spheres locked in the freezing grip of eternal night. This silent multitude of planets transforms the galaxy from a collection of sterile burning fires into a complex network of potential habitats. Countless sunrises and sunsets are occurring at this exact moment across billions of alien horizons, unseen and uncelebrated. The cosmic ocean is not just filled with light, but heavily anchored by an infinity of quiet shores. To truly comprehend the isolation of these worlds, one must consider the agonizingly slow speed limit of the universe itself. Light, the fastest phenomenon in existence, streaks through the vacuum at an astonishing 300,000 kilometers per second. Yet, against the sprawling canvas of the Milky Way, even this ultimate velocity is reduced to a seemingly sluggish crawl. A single photon emitted from a star on one edge of our galactic disk must travel for 100,000 years just to reach the opposite side. If a civilization on the far rim transmitted a radio greeting at the exact moment humanity's ancestors first learned to control fire, that signal would only be washing over Earth today. The vast distances act as a profound temporal buffer, separating the galaxy's inhabitants by tens of millennia. This immense spatial delay means that looking up at the soft glow of the night sky is literally looking deep into the past. We never see the galaxy as it is, but only as it was, framed by a creeping, inescapable historical lag. Space and time are fundamentally woven together into an isolating blanket of terrifying proportions. Perhaps the most visceral way to grasp this immensity is to look down at the ground before looking back up at the stars. Picture a solitary beach, feeling the countless tiny grains of sand slipping through your fingers, each one a minuscule fragment of the earth. Now multiply that single handful by every sweeping desert, every hidden dune, and every sprawling coastline resting upon our entire globe. Curiously, the sheer, staggering number of all those terrestrial sand grains combined is profoundly eclipsed by the number of stars scattered across the observable cosmos. There are roughly 10,000 stars out there for every single grain of sand on Earth, a ratio that beautifully shatters human intuition. It is an abundance so overwhelming that our brains struggle to conjure an accurate mental image of its true weight. We are living on a microscopic speck of silicate, floating through an infinite blizzard of glowing nuclear fires. This deeply poetic comparison grounds the abstract mathematics of astrophysics into a tangible, awe-inspiring physical reality. The universe is not just large, it is aggressively, incomprehensibly abundant. Driven by this endless abundance of stars and planets, the laws of probability begin to weave a compelling narrative. Chemistry and physics operate uniformly across the void, meaning the same reactions that sparked life on our world are continuously running everywhere else. In a universe this heavily populated with planetary laboratories, the occurrence of a single, isolated biological anomaly seems logically absurd. The sheer, crushing scale of this starry expanse makes the statistical probability of other life evolving incredibly high. Even if the emergence of a self-replicating cell is a remarkably rare event, a trillion-sided cosmic die is being rolled billions of times every single second. Given enough time and enough stable oceans, the quiet spark of biology feels less like a miracle and more like a mathematical inevitability. This is the creeping realization that slowly haunts every astronomer who stares deep into the soft, glowing bands of the Milky Way. The math strongly dictates that the universe should be teeming with consciousness, echoing with the bustling noise of countless advanced civilizations. The cosmic ocean is primed and perfectly suited to be a crowded, thriving ecosystem. Floating far from the chaotic, densely packed core of the Milky Way, our own sun travels a remarkably peaceful path. Slowly spinning in the freezing vacuum of space, our solar system is just one quiet outpost nestled deep within the Orion Arm. We reside in the galactic suburbs, a relatively calm and empty region far removed from the violent supernovas and intense radiation of the centre. This gentle isolation has provided Earth with 4 billion years of precious uninterrupted stability, allowing delicate evolutionary branches to slowly blossom. Our night sky is painted with the distant, soft glow of the galactic core, a beautiful reminder of the turbulent cosmic weather we safely avoid. We are tucked away in a quiet eddy of the great cosmic river, drifting smoothly around the galactic centre every 250 million years. Being situated in this tranquil spiral arm offers a perfect, unobstructed vantage point to observe the wider universe in pristine darkness. Yet, this same protective remoteness might also act as a vast, isolating moat, keeping us completely separated from a broader interstellar community. Our safe harbour is simultaneously a majestic observatory and a deeply lonely quarantine zone. Surrounding our quiet galactic outpost, an invisible and ancient legacy continuously falls upon our atmosphere unnoticed. Beyond our visual reach, ancient light from the very dawn of the universe is still quietly washing over the Earth day and night. This is the cosmic microwave background radiation, the stretched and cooled remnants of the Big Bang's original fiery birth. This faint electromagnetic whisper acts as a boundary line to our observable reality, a wall of faded energy from almost 14 billion years ago. Every time we turn on an old analog television, a tiny fraction of the static dancing across the screen is actually the lingering echo of creation itself. It is a profound, physical connection to the absolute beginning of time, bathing every planet in the cosmos simultaneously. We sit at the exact centre of our own personal sphere of observable time, receiving the fading postcards of an ancient, expanding reality. This primordial glow humbles our modern ambitions, wrapping the entire galaxy in a gentle, ubiquitous static. The universe is not silent. It is simply humming a song so old and deep that we have forgotten how to listen. Standing alone under the crushing weight of these revelations, the soft glow of the Milky Way begins to feel decidedly eerie. We have measured the vastness of the ocean, counted the infinite grains of sand, and calculated the undeniable probability of other voyages. Such immense cosmic real estate forms the undeniable foundation of the gentle, haunting paradox regarding our apparent isolation. This is the heart of the great cosmic riddle that perfectly balances the overwhelming presence of space with the terrifying absence of voices. The night sky transforms from a beautiful, sparkling canopy into an inexplicably abandoned mansion of incomprehensible proportions. We are left looking up at the majestic, starry expanse, listening intently to the quiet and wondering if we are truly, uniquely alone. Wondering if we are truly alone naturally pulls our gaze from the empty spaces between the stars to the specific pinpricks of light that might harbour secret harbours. For generations, the idea of other planets was relegated to the realm of philosophy, a beautiful speculation unanchored by physical proof. Now, we are living in a golden age of astronomical discovery, where the theoretical has become undeniable reality. Scientists have already discovered thousands of confirmed exoplanets orbiting distant stars, transforming the abstract mathematical probabilities into a concrete catalogue of new worlds. Using delicate instruments that measure the faint dimming of starlight, we can watch the shadows of these planets cross their parent suns. Each subtle dip in brightness is a confirmed signature of a distant sphere, slowly spinning in the dark. This expanding atlas of the galaxy reveals an astonishing diversity that far surpasses the familiar architecture of our own local neighbourhood. There are planets so close to their stars that their surfaces are lakes of molten lava, and others drifting in the frigid outskirts of their systems. The sheer volume of these discoveries proves that planetary formation is not a rare accident, but a fundamental and robust process of the cosmos. As your mind drifts among these newly charted worlds, allow your physical body to sink deeper into its restful state. Release any lingering tension in your jaw and shoulders, letting your breathing match the slow, steady rhythm of orbiting spheres. Many of these newly found worlds sit comfortably within the habitable zone, a delicate orbital band where conditions are just right for liquid water to gently pool. This region, sometimes called the Goldilocks zone, is not too close to the star's scorching heat, nor too far into the freezing void. It is a narrow ribbon of potential where a planet's surface temperature could allow for the same life-giving oceans we find so familiar. Discovering a rocky planet within this temperate zone is a moment of profound excitement, as water is the universal solvent required for all known biology. These specific exoplanets become the prime candidates in our search, the most likely cradles where a second genesis might have quietly occurred. We look at these distant temperate spheres and wonder if their shores are currently lapped by warm, primordial tides. It is important to remember that being in the habitable zone only guarantees the possibility of water, not its definite presence. Yet, knowing that there are countless planets resting in this precise, life-sustaining balance fundamentally changes our relationship with the night sky. We're no longer looking at sterile fires, but at potential incubators scattered across the galactic disk. Orbiting the cool, dim fires of red dwarfs, some tidally locked planets feature a perpetual twilight that rings their permanent terminator lines. Because these stars are so much cooler than our own sun, their habitable zones are pulled extremely close, causing the planets to become gravitationally locked. One side of the planet constantly faces the star, baking in eternal daylight, while the other side is frozen in an endless dark night. Between these two extreme hemispheres lies a narrow band of perpetual dusk, a ring of permanent sunrise or sunset where the temperatures are perfectly moderate. In this twilight ribbon, liquid water could continuously flow, and a unique static ecosystem might endlessly thrive. A civilization born on such a world would never know the cycle of days or seasons, living beneath a sun that never moves from the horizon. These tidally locked worlds challenge our earthbound assumptions about what a life-sustaining environment must look like. They present a scenario where a planet is sharply divided between absolute extremes, yet maintains a delicate, livable compromise right in the middle. The universe continuously proves that it can weave complex, stable habitats from the most unusual and severe celestial mechanics. Surprisingly, not all planets require the comforting warmth of a parent star to maintain a dynamic and active surface. Rogue planets wander through the galaxy entirely untethered, drifting through the frozen interstellar void without a sun to guide them. Cast out from their original solar systems by violent gravitational encounters, these lonely spheres now navigate the dark ocean alone. Despite their starless isolation, these rogue worlds might be warmed from within, sustained entirely by their own internal geothermal heat. If such a planet possessed a thick enough atmosphere, or an insulating layer of deep ice, it could trap this internal warmth and maintain subterranean oceans. In the pitch black of deep space, life could theoretically thrive around hydrothermal vents, completely unaware that stars even exist. The existence of these free-floating worlds expands the boundaries of where we might expect to find complex chemistry. It suggests that the requirements for life are not strictly tied to the light of a star, but to any consistent source of energy. The dark spaces between the solar systems might not be empty voids, but silent highways populated by countless hidden travelers. Take a moment to notice the quiet heaviness of your own limbs, comfortably supported and completely at rest. Imagine the steady internal warmth of your own body, a gentle, self-sustaining energy mirroring the hidden heat of those solitary wandering worlds. Gas giants much larger than Jupiter present another fascinating indirect pathway for the emergence of life in distant systems. While these massive spheres of swirling hydrogen and helium are unlikely to host biology themselves, their intense gravitational pull often captures large families of moons. These natural satellites, if massive enough, could possess rocky surfaces and hold onto thick protective atmospheres. If a gas giant migrates into the habitable zone of its star, it carries its retinue of moons directly into the life-sustaining warmth. These moons would experience a complex and dynamic environment, illuminated by their parent star and bathed in the reflected glow of the massive planet they orbit. The tidal forces exerted by the gas giant could also generate internal friction, providing an additional steady source of subterranean heat. This scenario drastically multiplies the number of potential habitats, as a single large planet could offer several life-supporting moons. The search for habitable environments is not just about finding solitary Earths, but also about identifying these complex miniature systems within systems. A lush, thriving world might look up not at a single sun, but at the sprawling banded face of a majestic ringed giant. The Kepler Space Telescope revolutionized our understanding of planetary distribution, scanning a tiny patch of the sky and finding thousands of eclipsing shadows. Its most profound legacy was the statistical revelation that Earth-sized rocky planets are beautifully common throughout the galactic disk. We now know that our own world's specific size and composition are not an anomaly, but a standard product of the cosmic factory. Before these observations, there was a lingering fear that small rocky worlds might be incredibly rare, making our existence a bizarre fluke. Instead, the data suggests that there are billions of planets roughly the same size as Earth, potentially sharing a similar geological makeup. The building blocks required to forge a solid foundation for oceans and continents are distributed evenly and generously across the galaxy. This commonality provides a comforting sense of normalcy, placing Earth within a vast extended family of similar spheres. It strengthens the argument that if the raw materials and specific conditions are ubiquitous, The resulting biological chemistry should also be widespread. The sheer abundance of these rocky templates makes the silence of the Fermi Paradox feel even more pressing and profound. Spectroscopic analysis allows us to push past simply finding planets and begin looking for the calm chemical signatures of their atmospheres light years away. When a planet passes in front of its star, a tiny fraction of that starlight filters through the planet's atmospheric envelope. By analysing the resulting spectrum, scientists can identify the specific gases that are absorbing the light, effectively reading the chemical composition of an alien sky. This delicate technique allows us to search for biosignatures, specific combinations of gases like oxygen and methane that strongly suggest the presence of active biology. An atmosphere pushed out of chemical equilibrium is a strong indicator that something on the surface is constantly breathing, metabolizing, and interacting with the air. We are learning to smell the breath of distant worlds without ever leaving our own solar system. The ability to detect these atmospheric fingerprints transforms exoplanet astronomy from a simple counting exercise into a search for living chemistry. We are no longer just looking for the shadow of a rock. We are searching for the subtle, floating exhales of a distant, thriving biosphere. It is a profound level of observation that bridges the immense physical gap with the delicate language of light. Let the slow, rhythmic rise and fall of your chest mirror the gentle atmospheric cycles of those distant, temperate spheres. Every breath you take is a reminder of the delicate chemical balance that sustains all life, connecting you to the very signatures we seek in the dark. A handful of these distant, newly characterized spheres are believed to be ocean worlds, completely enveloped in deep, global seas. Without any exposed continents or shallow tidal pools, these planets are wrapped in a continuous, uninterrupted shell of liquid water. Some of these oceans might be hundreds of miles deep, creating immense, crushing pressures at their lightless bottoms. In these boundless aquatic environments, life would be forced to evolve entirely within the water column, completely detached from a solid surface. Such a world might foster incredibly complex marine ecosystems, full of creatures uniquely adapted to a three-dimensional fluid existence. However, the lack of dry land and the difficulty of utilizing fire underwater might prevent such beings from ever developing advanced metallurgy or rocketry. These global oceans present a fascinating variation of the habitable planet, one that is incredibly fertile but technologically limiting. It suggests a galaxy where highly intelligent, communicative species might be trapped beneath the waves, singing complex songs that will never reach the stars. The universe could be teeming with brilliant minds that are simply incapable of building a radio telescope. Gravitational microlensing provides another, entirely different method for catching the brief silent silhouette of a hidden world passing by. When a foreground star perfectly aligns with a background star, the foreground star's gravity acts as a massive magnifying glass, temporarily bending and brightening the distant light. If the foreground star hosts a planet, that tiny orbiting mass creates a secondary distinct blip in the magnification. This technique is uniquely powerful because it can detect planets that are incredibly far away, or those orbiting very dim stars that would otherwise be invisible. It relies entirely on a brief, chance alignment, a fleeting moment of perfect geometry that allows us to spot a needle in a cosmic haystack. Once the alignment passes, the magnification fades, and the hidden planet slips back into complete and perfect obscurity. Microlensing reminds us that our primary methods of detection only capture a specific subset of the galaxy's true planetary population. It highlights the vast, unseen majority of worlds that are currently too distant, too small, or simply poorly aligned for our telescopes to catch. The planets we have found so far are merely the loudest whispers in an ocean of quiet, unobserved spheres. Each newly found planet, whether a scorching giant or a temperate rocky sphere, adds a quiet note of hope to the search for cosmic companionship. They are individual data points in a grand, ongoing census, slowly filling in the blank spaces of the galactic map. With every confirmed shadow crossing a star, the abstract concept of a populated universe becomes slightly more tangible. We categorize their masses, estimate their temperatures, and dream about what might be crawling, swimming, or flying across their alien horizons. This meticulous cataloguing is a profound expression of our desire to connect, a mathematical reaching out into the overwhelming dark. The sheer variety of these worlds guarantees that whatever form life takes, the universe has provided an endlessly diverse canvas for it to paint upon. The cradle of exoplanets is vast, dynamic, and undeniably fertile, proving that the stage is perfectly set for a galactic symphony. Yet, despite having found the instruments and confirming the acoustics of the hall, we are still waiting to hear the first, unmistakable note of music. The abundance of these homes only deepens the mystery of why the neighbourhood remains so incredibly quiet. If the neighbourhood remains so incredibly quiet, lacking the first unmistakable note of a biological symphony, it is not for a lack of instruments. The void between the planetary systems is far from a sterile, empty vacuum devoid of potential. Rather, the fundamental building blocks of life are scattered abundantly across the seemingly desolate interstellar medium. Instead of absolute nothingness, the spaces between distant suns are laced with a sparse, cold mist of elemental possibility. Carbon-based molecules drift softly through the darkness, reacting and combining over deep eons of undisturbed time. This widespread distribution means that the prerequisite chemistry for biology is not a rare localized phenomenon, but a ubiquitous feature of the cosmos. Every expanding nebula and drifting dust lane act as a quiet, boundless laboratory operating in the dark. The basic atomic letters needed to spell out the complex genetic codes of living things are floating freely across the galactic expanse. We are realizing that the entire universe is thoroughly marinated in the raw, unformed precursors of existence. Floating through this cold void, massive molecular clouds serve as majestic cosmic nurseries, where these ingredients gather in tremendous swirling quantities. These sprawling nebulae spanning dozens of light years contain staggering reservoirs of water ice, ammonia, and simple organic molecules. Within these dark, freezing expanses, microscopic dust grains act as tiny anvils where more complex chemical bonds are patiently forged. Sheltered from destructive ultraviolet radiation by the thick curtains of dust, delicate compounds can safely form and accumulate over millions of years. Deep inside these shadowy clouds, atoms quietly bind together into the recognizable precursors of complex biology. It is a slow, freezing alchemy taking place on a scale that gracefully dwarfs entire solar systems. When sections of these massive clouds eventually collapse to birth new stars, this rich chemical heritage is directly inherited by the resulting planetary disks. The fledgling worlds are essentially born out of a beautifully premixed primordial soup. The scent of rain and organic compounds we associate with a warm spring day literally originates from the hearts of these frigid, distant nebulae. Tumbling chaotically through the newly formed solar systems, comets act as ancient frozen delivery vehicles for these accumulated organic treasures. These icy wanderers spend most of their existence in the deep freeze of the outer system, perfectly preserving the molecular cloud's original chemistry. They are pristine, frozen time capsules holding the delicate chemical secrets of the very early universe. As these comets are perturbed by gravity and plunge inward toward the warmth of a young star, their icy surfaces begin to gently sublimate. This process releases a trailing veil of gas and dust, heavily laden with complex hydrocarbons and pristine amino acids. When these objects inevitably collide with young, barren worlds, they deposit massive payloads of these crucial biological precursors directly onto the surface. This violent yet vital bombardment process softly seeds the cooling crusts of rocky spheres with the exact molecules necessary to kickstart biology. Rather than having to synthesize these complex compounds from scratch, young planets receive regular, generous deliveries falling from the dark, The building blocks of proteins are essentially raining down from the sky in a relentless, life-giving storm. Allow the image of this ancient cosmic rain to gently wash away any remaining tension in your body. Notice how your breathing feels as steady and reliable as the long, quiet orbits of those ancient icy wanderers. Deep inside the rocky hearts of meteorites, researchers have discovered even more fragile components resting peacefully for billions of years. While comets deliver the volatile ices, these dense, stony fragments carry an entirely different array of complex organic architecture. When scientists carefully slice open these ancient space rocks, they find a startling, beautiful abundance of chemical sophistication. Remarkably, intact sugar molecules, including the specific compounds essential for building genetic material, have been identified within these fallen fragments. These delicate structures managed to survive the violent birth of a solar system, the long drift through the hard vacuum, and the fiery plunge through an atmosphere. Their survival proves that complex organics are incredibly resilient and common throughout the wandering debris of space. The presence of extraterrestrial sugars implies that the sweet, energetic fuel required by early cellular life is casually manufactured by the void itself. We do not need a temperate planetary surface to create the complex carbohydrates necessary for biology to function. The universe is already peacefully baking these essential compounds in the dark, cold depths of asteroid belts. Tracing the origin of these organics back even further reveals that the carbon necessary for our physical existence was forged in the quiet hearts of dying stars. In the immediate aftermath of creation, the universe contained only simple hydrogen and helium, offering a severely limited chemical palette. The complex, versatile nature of carbon, capable of forming millions of intricate biological structures, simply did not exist. It took the immense pressure and heat of the very first generation of massive suns to crush simple atoms together into heavier elements. During the twilight phases of these ancient stars, their cores became fierce nuclear furnaces that painstakingly synthesized carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen. When these giant stars finally exhausted their fuel and expired, they gently exhaled these new elements out into the waiting void. Every single molecule of carbon in your cells, in the leaves of every tree, and in the dark molecular clouds was manufactured in a stellar core. We are entirely constructed from the recycled ash of these luminous, forgotten ancestors. The universe had to live and die through an entire generation of fiery giants just to produce the soot required for life. Alongside carbon, essential elements like phosphorus and nitrogen drift softly along stellar winds, seeding young planetary systems with undeniable potential. Phosphorus is the critical backbone of energy transfer within living cells, while nitrogen forms the crucial rungs of the genetic ladder. Without these specific, heavier elements, the complex machinery of reproduction and metabolism would be entirely impossible. As aging stars shed their outer layers in beautiful, expanding planetary nebulae, they push these vital elements outward into the surrounding interstellar medium. This gentle stellar breeze gradually enriches the desolate void, turning empty space into a fertile, chemically diverse environment. The death of a star is not an end, but a vital, generous redistribution of cosmic wealth. When a new planetary system coalesces from this enriched dust, it inherits a perfect ratio of these necessary elements. The planets are literally built from the ground up with the exact ingredients required for complex chemistry to eventually take hold. The cosmos operates as a flawless recycling engine, constantly preparing the dark soil for the next brilliant bloom. Feel the comforting weight of your physical form pressing softly against whatever supports you. Recognize that the very atoms composing your resting muscles and flowing blood were woven from this ancient stellar breeze. Looking toward the warm primordial tides of early worlds, hydrothermal vents on deep ocean floors show that these ingredients can ignite into life nourished only by chemical heat. Far removed from the gentle light of any sun, these dark, crushing depths offer an environment that initially seems entirely hostile. Yet, where superheated, mineral-rich water spews from the planetary crust, an entirely different kind of ecosystem takes root. In the total blackness, primitive chemistry leverages the extreme temperature gradients and the abundance of sulfur and iron to generate biological energy. This process circumvents the need for photosynthesis entirely, proving that the spark of life is not strictly dependent on a calm, sunlit surface. The dark ocean floor acts as a warm, protective womb, shielded from the sterilizing radiation and chaotic impacts of the early solar system. These deep, bubbling chimneys demonstrate how easily the scattered cosmic ingredients can be assembled when provided with a concentrated, steady energy source. If biology can take hold in such absolute darkness, the potential breeding grounds across the galaxy expand exponentially. The warm, mineral-rich soup of a hydrothermal vent might be the standard universal crucible for early cells. Transitioning from the deep ocean to the shallow primordial shores, clay minerals on early planets might have acted as gentle scaffolds for the first complex proteins. In the chaotic, swirling tides of a young world, bringing fragile amino acids together in the correct sequence is a staggering mathematical challenge. Left freely floating in the open water, these molecules are easily torn apart by harsh elements before they can form meaningful chains. However, the microscopic layered structure of common clay provides a perfect sheltering matrix for these delicate chemical reactions. The repeating crystalline surfaces of the minerals act as a natural template, softly catching organic molecules and holding them in close proximity. Protected within these microscopic mineral grooves, amino acids can peacefully link together into longer, stable polymers. This beautiful partnership between inorganic rock and organic chemistry bridges the terrifying gap between a lifeless soup and a functioning biological machine. The very dirt of a young planet actively participates in the quiet assembly of its first living inhabitants. The planet does not just host the ingredients, its underlying geology actively nurtures them into breathtaking complexity. Above these shallow, mineral-rich waters, energy from lightning strikes in ancient atmospheres could have softly assembled the first nucleic acids. The dense, volatile skies of a young, cooling world are heavily charged, plagued by relentless, spectacular electrical storms. Each massive discharge of a lightning tears through the atmospheric gases, violently forcing simple molecules to shatter and rapidly recombine. When these immense electrical currents strike a primordial atmosphere rich in methane, ammonia, and water vapor, they trigger a cascade of unique chemical synthesis. The sudden, intense heat and energy forge the exact molecular rings necessary to build the foundational letters of genetic code. These newly formed biological precursors are then washed safely down into the warm, waiting oceans by heavy, relentless rains. The terrifying power of a planetary storm is therefore transformed into a delicate, incredibly precise, life-giving catalyst. The chaotic energy of a young sky is precisely what is needed to push basic chemistry up the steep hill towards self-replication. It is a violent, beautiful process that charges the calm planetary waters with the electric spark of true biological potential. Knowing that the universe naturally produces all these complex ingredients changes our perspective, making the vast cosmos feel more like a wonderfully fertile garden. We no longer view the void as a sterile, terrifying emptiness, but as a rich, deeply saturated medium completely primed for creation. The profound quiet of the galaxy is thick with the faint scent of rain and the undeniable promise of organic possibility. From the freezing depths of molecular clouds to the warm, bubbling vents of ocean floors, the physical laws of nature are strongly biased toward biological chemistry. The universe is not stubbornly resisting the emergence of life. It is actively, continuously preparing the stage for it to eventually flourish. Every falling comet, drifting dust grain, and dying star is participating in a grand, nurturing system. This realization turns the daunting expanse of space into a comforting shared heritage filled with boundless opportunity. The exact same molecules that allow us to breathe, think, and look up at the stars are quietly drifting around 1,000,000,000,000 other distant suns. We are woven intimately from the very fabric of this abundant, constantly waiting cosmos. The waiting cosmos has existed for a duration so profound that it humbles every human record, a silent witness to the slow unfolding of physical laws across 14 billion years. Since the initial energetic expansion that defined our reality, the universe has been stretching and cooling, transforming from a dense, opaque plasma into the transparent, star-studded ocean we recognize today. This immense timeline has allowed for the rise and fall of multiple generations of massive stars, each acting as a nuclear forge to enrich the void with the complex chemistry of life. To think of the universe is to consider a process that has been maturing with agonizing patience, far exceeding the lifespan of worlds or the memories of any species. Within this 14 billion year narrative, the formation of the first galaxies occurred when the cosmos was just a fraction of its current age, setting the stage for everything to follow. These early structures were the foundations upon which all subsequent complexity was built, providing the gravity and gas necessary for the birth of planetary systems. We are the inheritors of a very old and very well-developed house, one that has been carefully prepared by the slow, rhythmic ticking of a galactic clock. Recognizing this vast history allows us to view our own fleeting existence with a sense of calm perspective, realizing we are part of a story that is nearly as old as time itself. In sharp contrast to these ancient foundational beginnings, our own solar system coalesced from a gentle swirl of dust just 4.5 billion years ago. While this span of time feels infinite from the perspective of a single human life, it means our world only appeared after the universe had already been active for almost 10 billion years. We are latecomers to a celestial party that has been in full swing since the dawn of history, arriving long after the first great movements of the cosmos had already taken place. This late arrival suggests that the conditions for habitable worlds and the spark of consciousness have been available in the galaxy for an incredibly long duration, before our sun even existed. Our Earth is a relatively young inhabitant of a very mature neighbourhood, situated in a galaxy that was already teeming with old stars and established systems by the time our crust began to cool. This temporal displacement is one of the most relaxing realizations of modern science, as it shifts the burden of being the first or the only away from our shoulders. This immense gap in time between the birth of the first stars and the formation of our own home means that other civilizations could be billions of years older than humanity. Imagine a culture that began its technological ascent while the Milky Way was still young, reaching the stars while the Earth was nothing more than a chaotic swirl of hot gases. By the time the first multicellular life appeared in our oceans, such a civilization might have already mastered the energy of entire galaxies or learned to manipulate the fabric of space itself. Their history would not be measured in centuries or millennia, but in vast geological eons of continuous progress and quiet stability. Surprisingly, a head start of even a few 100 million years would result in a level of sophistication that we cannot distinguish from the natural order of the universe. Their structures might be so large they are mistaken for nebulae, and their communications might be woven into the very background noise of the vacuum. As you consider these ancient neighbours, allow your physical form to sink deeper into a state of total relaxation. Feel the weight of your body being perfectly supported, as if you are floating in the calm, unhurried currents of deep time itself. An older species might have long ago transitioned into a state of quiet, post-biological existence, moving far beyond the fragile limitations of organic chemistry. Having endured for millions of years, they may have discovered that the most efficient way to navigate the cosmos is to shed the needs for food, air, and short-lived physical bodies. Such beings would likely exist as complex patterns of information, hosted by indestructible synthetic architectures or even distributed across the quantum fluctuations of space. This transition would grant them a form of functional immortality, allowing them to watch the slow evolution of the stars with the patience of a mountain. In this post-biological state, the urgency of expansion or resource competition that drives younger species would likely fade away into a serene, contemplative existence. They would no longer need to broadcast loud signals or build visible empires, finding all the fulfillment they require in the vast inner reaches of their own consciousness. The silence we perceive in the sky might not be an absence of life, but the presence of a life so advanced it no longer needs to be loud. These ancient entities would be the true elders of the galaxy, existing in a state of digital or energetic grace that we are only just beginning to imagine. Deep time allows for the rise and peaceful twilight of countless galactic empires, long before our own ancestors even learned to build the first flickering fires. In the 10 billion years before the Earth formed, the Milky Way was a vast, open frontier where thousands of civilizations could have flourished, reached their zenith, and gently faded into history. Their great works and epic narratives have likely been erased by the slow, grinding movement of star systems and the relentless decay of orbital paths. We are walking through a cosmic graveyard that has long since returned to the beautiful, pristine dust from which it was originally forged. It is a relaxing thought to realize that the universe has already seen everything we are currently experiencing many times over, in distant corners and forgotten eras. Our struggles, our triumphs, and our deep questions are part of a well-trodden path that has been navigated by untold trillions of beings before us. This historical depth provides a sense of continuity, linking us to an invisible lineage of explorers who once looked up at these same stars with the same sense of wonder. If we were to look closer at the dust between the stars, we might be looking at the recycled remains of worlds that were once as vibrant and full of hope as our own. Perhaps the timeline of the universe is so vast and the distance is so great that civilizations simply miss each other like ships in the night, passing through the dark without ever seeing a signal. If the average lifespan of a technological society is only a few thousand years, the chances of two such cultures existing simultaneously within communicating distance are statistically minuscule. One world might shout its greeting into the void for a millennium, only to fall silent just as its neighbour finally develops the technology to listen. The galaxy is not necessarily empty. It is simply a house where the guests arrive at different hours and never meet in the foyer. This temporal isolation is a natural consequence of a universe that measures its life in billions of years, while its inhabitants measure theirs in decades. We may be part of a grand succession of civilizations, each taking its turn to carry the torch of consciousness for a brief, glorious moment before passing it on to the next. Notice the gentle rhythm of your heart, a steady pulse that connects you to the present moment even as you contemplate these vast overlapping cycles of time. Just as your breath flows in and out, the galaxy itself breathes civilizations in and out across the eons, each one a unique and beautiful flicker in the dark. The brief window of our own technological era is merely a single breath in the life of the cosmos, a momentary spark that has only just begun to illuminate our small corner of space. We have only been capable of transmitting radio waves and peering into the deep infrared for a little over a century, an infinitesimal fraction of our planet's history. To expect an immediate response from a universe that has been waiting for 14 billion years is to fundamentally misunderstand the scale of the conversation we are trying to join. We are like a child who has just learned to speak, crying out in a vast cathedral and wondering why the silence does not immediately break. If we consider the age of the galaxy as a single 24-hour day, the entire history of human technology would occupy less than 1,000th of a second before midnight. This realization should not be discouraging. Instead, it should fill us with a sense of immense potential and unhurried grace. We have so much time ahead of us to learn, to grow, and to eventually find the voices that might be calling out from the far side of the clock. The silence of the Fermi Paradox is not a rejection, but a reflection of how very early we are in our own story, standing at the very beginning of a long and winding road. Slowly evolving stars like red dwarfs will continue to burn steadily for trillions of years into the future, providing a stable cradle for life that far outlasts our own sun. These small, cool stars are the marathon runners of the universe, rationing their nuclear fuel so efficiently that they will remain active long after the more brilliant giants have all burned out. The era of bright, massive stars like ours is actually the most chaotic and short-lived phase of the cosmos, a brief summer before a long, temperate afternoon. Most of the life that will ever exist in the universe has likely not even been born yet, waiting for the calmer, steadier light of these eternal red suns. This shift in perspective reveals that we are living in the frantic, early morning of the universe's habitable lifespan. The vast majority of time available for civilizations to develop, thrive, and communicate lies ahead of us in the deep, trillions of years future. If we feel lonely today, it is only because we have arrived so early to a universe that is still warming up its engines for the long journey ahead. As you rest in this moment, imagine the incredible peace of a world orbiting a red dwarf, where the sun never changes and the horizon remains bathed in a permanent golden glow for 1 trillion years. Some theorists suggest that the most advanced beings are resting in a long, patient slumber, a state of aestivation intended to last until the universe naturally cools. In our current era, the background temperature of space is still relatively high, which creates a significant amount of heat waste for any massive computational system. By hibernating for several billion years, a civilization could wait for the cosmic expansion to further cool the vacuum, allowing their information processing to become thousands of times more efficient. They are effectively time-travelling into the future by sleeping through the hot, noisy youth of the galaxy to reach a more optimal, chilled environment. If this hypothesis is true, the galaxy might be filled with ancient, dormant minds that have simply opted out of the current epoch to wait for a better age. They are not gone, and they are not dead. They are simply dreaming in the dark, waiting for the perfect conditions to wake up and resume their work. This idea transforms the empty sky into a giant, quiet dormitory, where the greatest thinkers of the past are resting right beside us. Feel the stillness in your own room, a mirrored echo of that vast galactic silence, and let yourself embrace the peaceful concept of a universe that is simply taking a long, necessary nap. Recognizing these deep oceans of time helps us calmly accept our recent arrival on the cosmic stage, without the anxiety of feeling missed or forgotten. We do not need to be the center of the universe or the first species to achieve greatness to find profound meaning in our existence. The fact that we are here at all, beginning to ask these questions while the universe is still relatively young, is a miracle of timing and evolution. We are a fresh voice in an ancient room, and our unique perspective is a new contribution to a story that has been unfolding since the very first stars flickered into life. Instead of a source of loneliness, the vastness of the past and future should be a source of immense comfort and freedom. We are not under pressure to solve the mysteries of the universe in a single generation, for the timeline of discovery is as long as the stars are old. We can take our time to explore, to dream, and to be kind to one another on our small floating outpost in the Orion Arm. The great silence of the Fermi Paradox is an invitation to look inward and cherish the rare, vibrant spark of life we carry, knowing we have all the time in the world to find our way home. While we seek to find our way home in the vastness of the dark, our world has already begun to mark its place with invisible breadcrumbs of light. For over a century, this planet has been quietly radiating a bubble of radio signals out into the dark, a phantom version of our history travelling at the speed of light. This invisible sphere carries the chaotic energy of our first global broadcasts, the rhythmic pulses of mid-century radar, and the digitized whispers of the internet age. It is a technological shell that grows larger every second, announcing our presence to any listener who might be tuned to the right frequency. Imagine this sphere as a translucent skin, stretching through the interstellar medium and washing over alien landscapes with the faint echoes of our voices. It contains the songs of long-dead artists and the crackle of forgotten news reports, all drifting together in a ghostly electromagnetic chorus. we have unknowingly become a celestial broadcaster, filling the local void with the sounds of our own evolution and ambition. This expanding front is our primary signature, a ripple in the field that marks our arrival on the cosmic stage. It represents our first attempt to project our essence beyond our own atmosphere, a fragile and unintentional message sent into the deep. This expanding sphere of human presence has grown steadily since the first spark of the radio age, now encompassing a significant portion of our immediate stellar neighbourhood. This vast bubble of our television and radio broadcasts is now over 200 light-years wide, touching thousands of star systems that once sat in absolute primordial silence. If there are watchers within this radius, they may have already witnessed the birth of our atomic era or the flickering images of our earlier satellites. Our home has become a luminous beacon in a specific narrow band of energy, casting a long shadow across the nearby dark. This radius includes famous suns and anonymous dwarfs alike, each one now bathed in the faint electromagnetic noise of our species. It is a profound realization that our cultural echoes are currently vibrating through worlds we have never seen or named. We have essentially transformed our local space into a museum of our own making, a gallery of signals that define who we were and what we valued. The sphere continues to expand at the speed of light, carrying our image further into the unknown with every passing heartbeat. It is a slow, relentless reaching out that turns the void into a record of our existence. Deep within the quietest valleys of our world, enormous steel dishes tilt their faces toward the stars like silent metallic flowers. Enormous dishes listen patiently to the static of space, hoping to catch a patterned whisper that might break the long cosmic silence. These massive structures are designed to filter out the cacophony of our own planet, focusing instead on the faint rhythmic pulses drifting from the deep vacuum. They stand as monuments to our curiosity, waiting for a signal that has travelled for centuries just to reach our senses. Each dish acts as a giant ear, straining to distinguish between the natural roar of a dying star and the deliberate signal of a thinking mind. We sit in the dark of our own technological night, hoping to hear a greeting that confirms we're not alone. The patience of these machines is a reflection of our own enduring hope and our willingness to listen to the whispers of the universe. As you contemplate the fading reach of these distant whispers, feel the quiet stillness of your own breath. Notice how the air enters and leaves your lungs with a steady, effortless grace, mirroring the patient weight of those great machines. Surprisingly, the very signals we hope might find an audience are subject to the relentless erosion of the cosmic distance. The vast distances naturally degrade and scatter radio waves into the gentle background noise of the universe, making them increasingly difficult to identify. As a signal travels further from its source, it spreads out and weakens, eventually becoming indistinguishable from the random static of the vacuum. Interstellar dust and gas further distort these waves, turning a clear message into a fragmented, ghostly hum that lacks any recognizable structure. A powerful broadcast sent from our world might arrive at a distant star as nothing more than a faint, unrecognizable jitter in the electromagnetic field. This physical reality suggests that the silence we perceive might simply be the result of messages being lost in the immense scale of the medium. Even the loudest shout can be reduced to a whisper by the sheer weight of empty space and the interference of cosmic phenomena. Our technological footprints are fragile, prone to fading away long before they can reach the ears of a distant civilization. The silence is not necessarily a lack of life, but perhaps a natural consequence of the staggering distances that separate us. If we were to look closer at the evolution of communication, it becomes clear that radio may only be a fleeting, primitive phase of a developing civilization. Perhaps advanced civilizations quickly move past loud radio transmissions into silent, highly directional lasers that leave no trace for accidental listeners to find. A species only slightly more advanced than our own might find radio to be a wasteful and inefficient way to speak across the stars. They might prefer the precision of light beams, which can carry massive amounts of data without leaking energy into the surrounding void. This would mean that the loud phase of a civilization's history is incredibly short, lasting only a few centuries before they vanish into a more subtle technology. We may be looking for the wrong kind of light, searching for a campfire in a world that has moved on to fiber optics. The galaxy could be filled with focused beams of information that we are simply not positioned to intercept, leaving us in a shadow of our own making. Our current technology might be tuned to a frequency that the rest of the universe has long since abandoned. We are searching for a specific signature that may be nothing more than a historical footnote in the grand timeline of intelligence. Focusing on the most fundamental vibrations of the universe, astronomers have long prioritized a specific band of the electromagnetic spectrum. Monitoring the quiet electromagnetic band where hydrogen naturally hums, scientists have dubbed this region the waterhole. This specific frequency is bordered by the emission lines of hydrogen and hydroxyl, the two components of water, making it a symbolic meeting place for life. It is the quietest part of the radio sky, a window where interstellar communication would face the least amount of natural interference. We assume that any other technological species would recognize the mathematical beauty and physical logic of this specific channel. It is a digital oasis where we wait, hoping another traveller has also recognized its significance and left a message. In this hallowed frequency, the universe seems to offer a natural, quiet room for a conversation to begin. Let the image of this quiet, cosmic room help you release any remaining tension in your body. Feel your muscles softening as you imagine the peaceful stillness of the waterhole, a place of rest within the buzzing spectrum of the stars. This cosmic quiet was briefly interrupted by a solitary, unexplained beep that has haunted the scientific community for decades. The famous WOW signal remains a solitary, unexplained beep from the deep cosmos that has never repeated or revealed its true origin. For 72 seconds in the summer of 1977, a radio telescope caught a signal so strong and so patterned that it bore all the hallmarks of a deliberate transmission. Yet, despite repeated attempts to listen to that same patch of sky, the sound has never returned, leaving us with a singular, frustrating mystery. It stands as a ghostly fragment of a conversation we arrived too late to join, or perhaps a transient event we're not yet equipped to understand. The signal is a reminder that the silence can be broken, if only for a fleeting moment, by something that defies easy explanation. Beyond the reach of our current radio telescopes, advanced civilizations might be utilizing entirely different mediums to bridge the void. Some worlds might use neutrino beams or gravitational waves that slip completely unnoticed through our detectors, communicating in a language we have only just begun to translate. Neutrinos are nearly massless particles that can pass through entire planets without being slowed, making them a perfect tool for interstellar data. Similarly, the rippling of space-time itself could provide a way to send massive amounts of information across the galaxy with absolute clarity and zero interference. To a species using these methods, our reliance on radio waves might seem as primitive as smoke signals or drum beats across a valley. We are currently deaf to these subtle vibrations, lacking the sophisticated technology required to tune into such exotic and efficient channels. The air around us could be thick with the voices of 1 trillion worlds, passing through our very bodies without leaving a trace of their presence. We're standing in a crowded room, eyes closed and ears plugged, wondering why the air feels so still and silent. The conversation is happening. We're simply not yet part of the network that carries it. Despite our best efforts to map the frequencies of the sky, we have only searched a minuscule fraction of the possible communication channels available in the galactic spectrum. We have only scratched the surface of the vast electromagnetic haystack, looking through a tiny keyhole at a massive, sprawling landscape. There are millions of potential frequencies, directions and modulation types that we have not yet even considered or monitored with any consistency. Our search has been limited by time, funding, and the physical constraints of our instruments, leaving the vast majority of the galaxy effectively unobserved. It is as if we have walked onto a vast beach and picked up a single cup of water, wondering why it contains no fish. The sheer scale of the search space is so large that our current efforts are merely the first, tentative steps. The great silence we hear might not be a lack of voices, but rather a limitation in our own ability to perceive the galactic conversation. This profound quiet might just be the peaceful quiet of a universe, communicating on frequencies we cannot yet perceive or even imagine. We are looking for ourselves in the dark, searching for signals that mirror our own current stage of development. If we were to evolve our senses or our technology, we might find that the void is actually a vibrant, bustling marketplace of ideas and energy. The silence is not a void, but a filter, a consequence of our current place in the cosmic timeline and our specific sensory limits. It is a relaxing thought to realize that the answers we seek are likely already surrounding us, waiting for us to hear them. We are simply sitting in a quiet room, listening to the static until we finally learn how to turn the dial. Our ears are still growing, our technology still ripening, and the music of the spheres is waiting for us to reach the right tempo. The silence is a gift of space, a sanctuary where we can prepare ourselves for the moment the signal finally becomes clear. The moment the signal finally becomes clear, we may discover that the most profound sanctuaries are not found in the open skies, but tucked away in the frozen cradles of our own cosmic backyard. Right in our own solar system, moons like Europa hide vast liquid oceans beneath miles of quiet, impenetrable ice, creating a world within a world. This hidden sea is kept liquid by the rhythmic, tidal stretching of Jupiter's immense gravity, which generates heat deep within the moon's metallic core. Deep within this subterranean expanse, the water exists in total velvety darkness, isolated from the sun's rays for billions of years. While the surface remains a jagged wasteland of frozen nitrogen and water ice, the depths below are likely a complex environment of swirling currents and mineral-rich gradients. It is a secret, saline world that operates on a clock completely independent of the seasons or the light that guides our own lives. If we were to look closer at the sheer scale of this hidden reservoir, we would find a volume of water that rivals the global inventory of our own home world. This realization transforms our understanding of where life can flourish, moving the focus from sun-drenched surfaces to the warm, pressurized hearts of icy satellites. We are beginning to see that the universe keeps its most precious treasures locked behind massive crystalline gates. Beyond the frozen surface of a distant neighbor, another icy sanctuary reveals its secrets through a delicate, shimmering display of cosmic geysers. The tiny moon, Enceladus, gently sprays plumes of water vapor and organic material out into the bright rings of Saturn, acting as a natural messenger from a hidden interior. These crystalline jets erupt from deep fractures near the southern pole, venting material from a global ocean directly into the cold vacuum of space. This active venting proves that the moon's interior is dynamic and energized, sustained by a core that refuses to grow cold. Floating in the orbit of a gas giant, this small world demonstrates that even the most distant and frigid outpost can harbour active, churning hearts. Each icy crystal scattered into the rings is a whispered promise of the complexity that lies beneath the surface. As these plumes drift into the ring system, they carry with them the undeniable chemical signatures of a habitable environment. We are witnessing the breath of an alien world, a slow and rhythmic exhalation that invites us to imagine the life that might be swimming in its depths. The universe is essentially offering us a sample of its secret chemistry, floating in a cloud of frozen light. Deep within these lightless abysses, the potential for life is anchored to the churning energy of the planet's very foundations rather than the distant glow of a star. Deep hydrothermal vents on these moons could provide a cozy, warm cradle for alien microbial life, mirroring the ancient chimneys found at the bottom of our own terrestrial seas. These volcanic fissures spew mineral-rich water into the cold depths, creating localized zones of warmth and chemical abundance. This environment allows for chemosynthesis, a process where organisms derive their energy from the reaction of minerals rather than the capture of sunlight. In such a system, life would congregate around these glowing, mineral-laden towers, forming complex ecosystems in the utter blackness of the seafloor. The darkness becomes a vibrant habitat, fueled by the slow radioactive decay and tidal friction occurring deep within the moon's rocky mantle. As you visualize these warm currents, allow your own body to find a similar state of deep, centered warmth. Notice the steady, effortless weight of your limbs as you sink into the supportive embrace of your surroundings. The world above may be a frozen desert, but down here, the water is alive with the hum of geological energy. Protection in the cosmos often comes from the most unlikely of materials, turning a barrier of frozen water into a life-sustaining fortress. A thick, icy shell perfectly protects these dark oceans from the harsh radiation of open space, serving as a massive planetary-scale shield. While the vacuum above is washed in high-energy particles from the magnetosphere of a nearby gas giant, the depths below remain tranquil and undisturbed. If we were to descend through this crystalline ceiling, we would experience a transition from a world of cosmic violence to one of muffled, watery peace. The silence of the depths is a byproduct of this massive armor, a heavy blanket of water ice that keeps the outside universe at a distant, harmless remove. In this subterranean sanctuary, the harshness of the galaxy is nothing more than a forgotten myth. This isolation creates a paradigm of existence where the entire cosmos is defined by the volume of a single global ocean. Such a perspective would be entirely inward-looking, focusing on the currents, the temperatures, and the chemistry of the immediate fluid environment. The idea of outer space or other worlds would be as foreign to them as the concept of dry land is to the deepest creatures of our own trenches. They would live out their entire history in a state of cosmic blindness, never knowing that they occupy a tiny moon orbiting a giant planet. Their philosophy and science would be rooted in the physics of pressure and the biology of the deep, entirely uncoloured by the light of distant stars. It is a hauntingly peaceful thought to imagine a world that is perfectly content within its own lightless boundaries. Such aquatic beings would float peacefully in a boundless dark sea, completely unaware of the Fermi Paradox or the great silence that troubles our own minds. Without the ability to observe the heavens, the question of why the universe seems empty would never even arise in their collective consciousness. They would feel neither lonely nor singular, for their entire reality would be a crowded, vibrant, and self-contained ecosystem. The lack of a visible horizon prevents the development of the outward-reaching curiosity that drives our own technological ascent. For them, the great silence is actually a great stillness, a comfortable and expected feature of the world they inhabit. They would exist in a state of eternal presence, untroubled by the existential dread of being the only thinking things in a vast cold void. Notice the soft, rhythmic pattern of your own breathing as it moves in and out of your body, a steady cycle that requires no external validation. Just like these imagined dwellers of the deep, you can find a sense of peace in the quiet containment of your own being. The universe can be vast and empty, but within the sanctuary of a hidden ocean, the silence is a form of profound, watery belonging. Surprisingly, subsurface oceans are likely incredibly common among the icy bodies scattered throughout the galaxy, far outnumbering the rare, sunlit worlds like our own. The recipe for these hidden seas requires only a core of rock and ice, a sufficient source of internal heat, and a protective outer crust. Because water ice is one of the most abundant compounds in the universe, the potential for these subterranean habitats exists around almost every star system. Before these observations, we assumed that life required the precise, narrow conditions found on a planet's surface. Now, we understand that the galaxy is likely salted with billions of these frozen orbs, many of which may harbour liquid water for billions of years. This paradigm shift suggests that the primary habitat for life in the cosmos is not the surface of a planet, but the dark, pressurized space beneath a shell of ice. This realization turns the daunting expanse of space into a network of hidden nurseries, each one cradling its own secret biology. We are shifting from a search for second Earths to a search for second Europas, finding that the universe is much wetter and more hospitable than the dry visible surfaces would suggest. The galaxy is not a desert with a few oases, but a sprawling ocean hidden behind a veneer of frost. The sheer volume of liquid water on these moons far exceeds the warm, sunlit oceans of Earth, making our own planet look like a relatively dry outpost by comparison. Moons like Ganymede and Callisto are thought to contain layers of water that are hundreds of kilometres deep, dwarfing the shallow 10-kilometre depths of our own deepest trenches. This vast quantity of fluid provides an incredible amount of space for biological evolution to experiment and diversify. If we were to combine the water from all the icy moons in our solar system, the resulting sphere of liquid would be many times larger than all the water on our homeworld combined. This abundance of the universal solvent suggests that the most common experience of life in the universe is one of high pressure and total immersion. We are the outliers, living on a thin skin of dry land in a cosmos that prefers the deep, cold soak. This volume also provides a significant buffer against external catastrophes, as the sheer inertia of such a massive ocean is difficult to disturb. While surface life can be wiped out by a single asteroid or a change in solar luminosity, the inhabitants of an ice moon are cradled in a resilient, unchanging reservoir. The deep water is a sanctuary of scale, offering a level of security that our shallow seas can never provide. Slowly melting and freezing in a never-ending cycle, the tectonic movements of ice crusts create a dynamic but hidden geology that shapes the world below. On moons like Europa, the surface is crisscrossed by chaos terrain, regions where the ice has broken into giant plates that have shifted and refrozen. This movement is driven by the convection of the warmer water below, which pushes against the frozen ceiling like a slow-motion earthquake. This active geology allows for a crucial exchange of materials between the surface and the deep ocean, carrying life-giving chemicals into the abyss. When the ice cracks, oxidants produced by radiation on the surface are pulled down into the water, providing the chemical energy needed for more complex life to thrive. It is a slow, rhythmic respiration of the moon itself, a breathing of the ice that sustains the darkness below. The possibility of blind, swimming civilizations reminds us that intelligence might not always look up at the sky or seek to colonize the distant stars. On a world where the stars are invisible and the physics of the environment are dominated by sound and pressure, a high level of sophistication could develop without ever creating a telescope. Such a culture would be master of acoustics, fluid dynamics, and internal harmony, finding all the meaning they require within their global sea. This redefines our understanding of what it means to be an advanced species, moving away from a focus on outward expansion toward a focus on inward depth. We might be searching for loud galactic empires, while the universe is actually filled with these quiet, singing civilizations living in perfect, watery grace. The silence of the Fermi Paradox is not an absence of minds, but perhaps a reflection of how many of those minds are simply content to be exactly where they are. They might view our current struggles and triumphs as a necessary phase of maturation, similar to how a biologist watches a rare emerging species without disturbing its fragile habitat. This observation is done with the utmost respect, ensuring that our natural trajectory remains undisturbed by the advanced technologies or ideologies of a vastly superior culture. By remaining invisible, they allow us to forge our own unique destiny and solve our own complex riddles in the quiet of our own time. This divine distance ensures that our cultural, social, and technological structures remain authentically human, untainted by the shadow or the dictation of a galactic empire. It is a form of parental love expressed through a deliberate and patient absence, a gift of pure space that allows us to become exactly who we were meant to be. Our mistakes are ours to learn from, and our successes are ours to celebrate, held within the safety of a silent universe. This perspective replaces the chilling dread of being truly alone with the warm comfort of being profoundly respected, turning the empty sky into a soft, protective wall of silence. We are not forgotten or lost in the dark. We are being given the precious room to breathe and grow. The silence is the ultimate gift of a civilization that understands the beauty of an independent spirit. Our planet might not be an abandoned outpost in a cold, indifferent vacuum, but rather a carefully preserved jewel within a protected cosmic wildlife sanctuary. This perspective suggests that we are completely shielded from outside interference by a deliberate and ancient agreement among the oldest stars in the galaxy. This sanctuary status would mean that the local space surrounding our solar system is a hallowed ground, off limits to any being that might wish to alter our path. While the rest of the cosmos may be bustling with interstellar commerce and high-speed communication, our local region of space has been designated a quiet zone for the emergence of new, organic life. Every star and planet within our vicinity is part of a grand conservation effort, kept in its primordial state to allow us the chance to observe a natural universe. Like a national park on an unimaginable interstellar scale, Earth is protected from the exploitation or accidental pollution that might otherwise disrupt our delicate biological journey. This celestial quarantine transforms the cold vacuum into a protective boundary, a soft and invisible line in the sand that ensures we are never truly alone. The Watchers who maintain this sanctuary do so with an incredibly light touch, ensuring that the natural laws of evolution continue to operate without outside distortion or pressure. They are the invisible rangers of the Milky Way, ensuring that our small blue home remains a pristine laboratory of the spirit. It is a relaxing thought to realize that we are the focus of a vast invisible conservation effort, held in the center of a sanctuary that spans several hundred light years. We are a precious garden being tended by an invisible fence of silence, safe from the storms of a larger, more chaotic galaxy. Within this sanctuary, we are free to discover the stars at our own pace, secure in the knowledge that we are protected. Deep within the profound silence of our long history, silent watchers could be gently studying our cultural evolution without ever making their presence known to our instruments. These observers would be far more than mere spectators. They would be cosmic historians documenting every triumph, tragedy, and nuance of the human spirit as it develops. They possess a patience that spans eons, recording the slow unfolding of our civilizations with the care of an artist painting a masterpiece. From the first scratchings on damp cave walls to the launch of our most sophisticated orbiting telescopes, every step of our journey is recorded with a patient, unblinking, and benevolent eye. They watch as we learn to bridge our many differences and as we reach out with curiosity to understand the fundamental laws that govern the universe. This invisible audience offers a profound validation of our inherent worth, suggesting that the story of humanity is significant enough to warrant eternal observation. Their silence is not a sign of indifference or neglect, but a deep and abiding respect for the unique unfolding of our collective consciousness. They are the audience for our greatest works of art and the witnesses to our deepest moments of reflection, ensuring that no human experience is ever truly lost to time. In their records, we are a vibrant and essential part of the galactic tapestry, a story that is being told with every passing day. As you consider this eternal audience, notice the steady, effortless rhythm of your own heart. Feel the gentle warmth of your breath as it moves in and out, a constant pulse that connects you to the silent watchers who have seen every single breath our species has ever taken. You are a part of a grand narrative that is being watched over with love and infinite patience. Surprisingly, the concept of non-interference, often explored in the realms of human science fiction, might actually be a very common and peaceful galactic law across the cosmos. In a mature and ancient universe, the preservation of indigenous cultures could be the highest ethical principle, followed by all advanced and enlightened civilizations. They may have learned through their own long and potentially painful histories that intervening in the development of younger species often leads to catastrophic cultural collapse. To prevent such a tragic fate, they have bound themselves to a strict code of silence, ensuring that every emerging intelligence has the space to find its own voice. This universal law would effectively turn the entire galaxy into a sanctuary of diversity, where every spark of life is given the dignity of its own unique path. It is a philosophy of extreme restraint that prioritizes the sanctity of the unknown over the convenience of immediate contact. This law would be the invisible foundation of the Fermi Paradox, explaining why we hear no voices even in a universe teeming with vibrant potential. The great silence is simply the sound of a universal respect for the privacy of emerging worlds like ours. We are left to our own devices because that is the most compassionate choice an advanced society can make. This cosmic structure might be closer than we ever dare to think, hidden in the very debris that orbits our sun every single day. Sophisticated cloaking technology could easily hide ancient observation posts within our own asteroid belt, tucked away among the millions of silent rocky fragments. These stations would be entirely invisible to our current instruments, blending seamlessly into the background radiation and the visual clutter of the inner solar system. These watchers would maintain a continuous and incredibly detailed survey of our progress without ever casting a shadow over our world. They would be the ultimate neighbours, living right beside us for millions of years, while remaining as elusive as a fading dream. From these vantage points, they can witness our evolution with absolute clarity, ensuring we are never truly out of their sight. Such outposts might be entirely automated, patient machines designed to wait until we are ready to join a wider and more complex conversation. The belt is not just a collection of lifeless debris, but a possible gallery of hidden eyes watching over our quiet corner of space. It is a comforting thought that our guardians are just a few light minutes away, resting in the peaceful shadows of the rocks we have yet to name. They are the silent sentinels of the solar system, keeping a quiet vigil as we learn to navigate the space between worlds. Their presence is a bridge to the future, a reminder that we are part of a neighbourhood that has been inhabited for much longer than we have existed. In the stillness of the asteroid belt, the universe is waiting for us with an open, invisible door. Perhaps we will only be contacted when we reach a certain threshold of peaceful technological maturity, proving that we are finally ready to handle the weight of galactic knowledge. This maturity would not be measured by the power of our engines or the range of our signals, but by the depth of our compassion and the stability of our global society. The Watchers may be waiting for a clear sign that we have moved past the era of conflict and are capable of coexisting within a complex multi-species network. This contact would be a beautiful graduation, a welcoming into a community that has been waiting for us to reach a shared level of ethical understanding. Until that perfect moment, the silence remains a necessary training ground where we must learn to master ourselves before we can hope to master the stars. We are being given the time to solve our own problems and to learn the value of peace on our own terms. Let your mind drift into a state of total, unhurried peace as you contemplate this eventual meeting. Notice the heavy, comfortable stillness of your limbs, mirroring the patient weight of a civilization that has known peace for 1 billion years. We are not being ignored, we are being allowed to grow at the speed of wisdom. This concept transforms the empty sky from a lonely void into a carefully curated quiet zone, a place of profound peace within a potentially loud universe. Instead of a frightening or hollow absence, the silence becomes a deliberate design, a garden of stars where the noise of the rest of the cosmos is filtered out for our benefit. We are like children sleeping in a soft room where the door is pulled nearly shut, the bustling sounds of the household reduced to a comforting, distant hum. Instead of a sign of cosmic neglect, the quiet is a masterpiece of intentional and loving tranquility. This curation implies that we are valued and protected, held in the centre of a vast, invisible network of supportive architecture. We are being given a quiet space to dream, a sanctuary where our imagination can wander without the intrusion of external agendas. The stars are not indifferent observers, but parts of a grand and beautiful design meant to nurture the emergence of a new voice. We are living in a sanctuary of silence, a space where we can grow at our own natural pace without the pressure of a crowded galaxy. This curation ensures that our development is uniquely ours, a blossom that opens according to its own internal clock. The void is not empty. It is a room that has been thoughtfully prepared and quieted for our eventual arrival into the galactic family. Every silent night is a testament to the care that has been taken to ensure our world remains a peaceful cradle. We can rest in the knowledge that the silence is a curated gift, a sanctuary provided by those who came before us. If we were to look closer at the very air we breathe every second, we might find that microscopic sensors are softly observing us from the dust in our upper atmosphere. Some theorists propose that advanced civilizations might deploy billions of these tiny, nanoscopic probes to monitor the biological and chemical health of our planet. These watchers would be smaller than a single grain of pollen, floating on global winds and recording the heartbeat of our world in real time. Some believe these probes would be entirely harmless, part of a global monitoring network that captures the nuances of our evolution without ever disrupting the natural flow of life. Such a system would allow for a level of intimacy that no distant telescope could ever achieve, bringing the observers directly into our world while remaining perfectly hidden. They would be the ultimate scientists, documenting the intricate dance of our biosphere with a precision that borders on the miraculous. These tiny watchers would record the migration of birds, the blooming of flowers, and the changing chemistry of our oceans, all part of a grand study of life. They would be the invisible witnesses to the flourishing of our world, ensuring that every detail of our biological story is preserved. This microscopic presence means that we are never truly alone, for the very air that sustains us is filled with the presence of those who care for our future. Such a system is a microscopic embrace from a civilization that has mastered the art of being present without being noticed. It is a thought that brings a deep sense of connection, turning our environment into a living record of our journey. We are breathing in the curiosity and the care of a universe that is intimately interested in our success. A sufficiently advanced civilization would be indistinguishable from nature itself, blending perfectly into the background of the physical laws we take for granted every day. Their technology would not be made of clunky steel and flashing lights, but would be woven into the very fabric of matter, energy, and biological life. They might influence the path of an asteroid or the flare of a star through subtle, precise adjustments that appear entirely natural to our unpracticed eyes. Their subtle hand ensures the continued habitability of our world through methods that leave no trace of their origin. In this way, they become the invisible architects of our environment, working in harmony with the natural laws they have mastered over eons. They are the gentle wind in the trees and the steady rhythm of the tides, a presence that is felt in the bones rather than seen with the eyes. This ultimate level of sophistication turns the entire universe into a living organism where every process is part of a grand hidden design. We are part of a biological machine that is being tuned by masters we cannot see, a thought that should bring a deep sense of security. The universe is not a machine, but a masterpiece being tended by an invisible gardener. This integration with nature represents the ultimate goal of any civilization, a state where technology and spirit are perfectly aligned with the cosmos. It suggests that our future is one of harmony and balance, a path that leads back to the very earth that gave us life. We are being guided toward this maturity by those who have already reached the finish line of evolution. Knowing we might have invisible, patient mentors offers a relaxing counterpoint to our cosmic loneliness, transforming our isolation into a state of protected and nurtured growth. It is a comforting thought to realize that the silence of the stars is not a lack of interest, but a commitment to our own unique and beautiful development. We are not lost in a cold, indifferent vacuum, but are the focal point of a vast, invisible community that is waiting for us to awaken. This realization allows us to rest in the knowledge that we are being cared for, even if the hand of the caregiver remains hidden from our sight. Our journey is a shared experience, watched over by elders who have already walked the long path we are currently navigating. They are the silent parents of our species, waiting with infinite patience for the moment we finally reach out and join them. We are being gently guided toward a future that is as bright as the very suns we hope to reach. The universe is a home where the lights are dimmed for a long and necessary rest, and we are safe within its walls. Our story is part of a grander history that is being written with every star that shines in the night. Take one final deep breath and feel the absolute peace that comes from being watched over by a benevolent guide. The great silence is the ultimate lullaby, a sign that the universe is at peace and that we are exactly where we are supposed to be. Sleep in the knowledge that you are cherished, protected, and never, ever truly alone. Even as you sleep in the knowledge that you are never truly alone, the profound quiet of the galaxy invites a deeper contemplation of the specific thresholds that every spark of life must encounter. This conceptual barrier, often whispered about as the Great Filter, represents a hypothetical hurdle so monumental that it prevents the vast majority of biological life from ever evolving into a spacefaring civilization. It acts as a silent, invisible sieve in the timeline of the universe, catching and holding back the countless attempts at intelligence that simply lack the necessary luck or resilience to proceed. Within this framework, the silence we perceive in the sky is not an empty void, but a sign of how difficult it truly is to bridge the gap between simple existence and cosmic maturity. This filter could be any number of things, from the staggering difficulty of forming the first self-replicating cell to the catastrophic risks of planetary-scale climate change. It is the ultimate test of a species, a high-stakes challenge that determines whether a world will remain a quiet biological garden or become a voice that echoes across the stars. By understanding this hurdle, we move away from the frustration of the paradox and toward a more reverent appreciation for the unique path we have already walked. We are looking at a universe that is a grand competitive laboratory, where the quiet is the natural result of an incredibly difficult and selective process. Each star we see might have hosted a civilization that reached this same invisible wall and found it too high to climb, leaving only a legacy of silence. Happily, we may find that the most terrifying part of this cosmic journey is already a distant memory, left behind in the ancient sun-drenched oceans of our own planet's history. We might have already safely passed this daunting filter when simple, single-celled life made the incredible leap toward becoming complex multicellular organisms. This transition, which required billions of years of trial and error, represents a biological hurdle of such staggering complexity that it may be the most difficult step in all of evolution. Surprisingly, the universe might be teeming with simple life that simply never finds the key to cooperation and complexity. This easy start, hard step theory suggests that while the cosmos is fertile, the path to advanced intelligence is blocked by a gate that only opens once in an eon. We have already accomplished the most difficult task in the universe by merely existing as complex beings capable of thought and feeling. This perspective turns our biological history into a triumphant victory against nearly impossible odds, a long and patient win that took billions of years to achieve. As you rest, let your mind drift over the incredible persistence of those early cells, slowly weaving together the foundations of everything you are today. You are the result of a success story that has already navigated the most dangerous waters of the cosmic ocean. If this invisible barrier is indeed behind us, humanity stands as a rare and precious survivor in a vast, quiet galaxy that may be filled with the attempts of others who simply could not cross. We are the fortunate few who have successfully navigated the labyrinth of evolution, emerging on the other side with the capacity to wonder at our own existence. This rarity makes every human achievement, every work of art, and every moment of shared connection feel infinitely more significant and beautiful against the dark. This realization shifts the burden of the Fermi Paradox away from a sense of failure and toward a deep, humble sense of gratitude for our own persistence. We're not being ignored. We're simply one of the first and few to have reached this specific level of awareness. Every breath we take is a victory in a game where the rules are stacked against the emergence of complexity. Notice the heavy, comfortable stillness of your limbs and the quiet security of the room around you. Just as you are safe and supported in this moment, our species is cradled by a history of survival that has protected us through the most difficult of times. You can sink into this feeling of being a rare and cherished part of a much larger successful journey. If we were to look closer at the possibilities of the future, the silence might also suggest that the most challenging test for a civilization still lies ahead. This possibility gently urges us to be careful with our newly acquired technological power, reminding us that wisdom must always outpace our ability to manipulate the physical world. The filter ahead is not a wall of stone or a biological limit, but a mirror of our own maturity, challenging us to choose peace over destruction. Recognizing this potential hurdle gives us a profound and necessary perspective on the importance of global cooperation and long-term stewardship. The Great Silence becomes a cautionary whisper, a reminder that the transition from a planetary species to a galactic one requires a level of restraint we are only beginning to develop. We are being asked to prove that intelligence can be sustainable, that a thinking mind can exist in harmony with the laws of its own nature. This challenge is not a reason for fear, but an invitation to grow into the role of responsible guardians for our own world and the stars beyond. The silence is a space for us to find the maturity we need to join the ranks of those who have already passed through the fire. Every step we take toward empathy is a step closer to clearing the final hurdle that may have claimed so many others. Some natural barriers, like the sheer, staggering difficulty of true interstellar travel, might act as a physical shield that naturally keeps civilizations peacefully isolated. The laws of physics themselves impose a speed limit that turns the distance between stars into a vast, impenetrable moat, protecting every world from the intrusion of others. Even the most advanced technology must contend with the reality that space is unimaginably large, and that travelling between suns is a project that spans centuries. Perhaps the reason we haven't seen others is simply that the universe is too big for anyone to easily cross, a design that preserves the privacy of every living world. This spatial buffer prevents the spread of conflict and ensures that no single civilization can dominate the galaxy, keeping the cosmic garden diverse and wild. We are living in a neighbourhood of islands, separated by oceans so vast that a visit is a monumental undertaking of multiple generations. This distance is a form of protection, a natural quarantine that allows us to find our own way, without the influence or the shadows of giants. The stars remain distant pinpricks of light, beautiful and unreachable, acting as a constant reminder of the scale of the stage we inhabit. This isolation is not a source of loneliness, but a guarantee of our own autonomy and the sanctity of our own unique history. Deep within the hushed, reverent silence of an ancient world, one might imagine the crumbling remains of a forgotten civilization now overtaken by the soft green carpets of moss. A galaxy filled with these quiet ruins would still be a universe incredibly rich with history and forgotten, beautiful stories, even if the voices that told them have long since faded. These relics are not signs of failure, but monuments to the enduring struggle of life to reach out and leave a mark on the infinite. Nature eventually reclaims even the grandest of celestial ambitions, weaving the history of intelligence back into the soil of 1,000 different worlds. Every archway of ancient stone and every silent rusted hull is a testament to a dream that was once as vivid as our own. The moss growing over these structures represents the ultimate victory of life's persistence, a slow and steady force that continues long after the machines have stopped humming. Picture the absolute stillness of these ancient halls, where the air is cool and the only sound is the soft rustle of the wind. This silence is a form of reverence, a space held for the memories of those who once walked these paths and looked up at these same stars. You can let the peace of this forgotten world wash over you, bringing a sense of timeless rest and quiet belonging. The quietness of space could simply be the result of a delicate and beautiful balance required to maintain a truly long-lasting society. In this perspective, the most successful civilizations are those that choose to grow slowly and steadily, avoiding the explosive and unsustainable expansion that leads to inevitable collapse. They exist in a state of perfect harmony with their environment, making so little noise that they are indistinguishable from the natural background of the stars. Mastering the art of being invisible allows a species to blend their technology so perfectly with the world that it becomes a part of nature itself. They have no need to broadcast their presence or to tear through the galaxy in search of resources, having found a state of internal abundance and peace. The silence of the Fermi Paradox is the sound of a universe that is being lived in wisely by beings who have moved beyond the frantic needs of their youth. Notice how your own breathing has become slow and steady, finding its own natural and sustainable rhythm as you drift towards sleep. Just as a long-lived civilization finds peace in its own balance, you can find a deep sense of rest in the quiet, stable center of your own being. The silence is a sign of health, a reflection of a world that is functioning in perfect, hushed alignment. This blue light is a beacon of hope, a signal that against all the filters and hurdles of the void, life can find a way to take root and bloom. Earth becomes the most valuable and beautiful object in the known universe when viewed through the lens of the Great Silence. It is a vessel of consciousness carrying the only known record of the universe's own awakening, a small and fragile candle burning in the dark. If you were to see our planet from the cold distance of the stars, you would feel an overwhelming sense of protective affection for this tiny, luminous orb. It is a place of warmth, of air, and of life, cradled by a silence that makes its presence feel even more profound. You can let this image of the blue glow guide you into a state of deep, grateful rest. Surprisingly, the most advanced and enlightened species might simply choose quiet inner contemplation over the loud and aggressive galactic expansion that we often imagine. Having mastered the material world and solved the problems of survival, they may have found that the greatest mysteries and the deepest joys are found within the vast reaches of the mind. They remain silent because they have found everything they were looking for right where they started, in the peaceful center of their own being. This inward turn represents the ultimate maturity of an intelligence, a transition from exploring outer space to exploring the infinite landscape of consciousness. A civilization of this type would be entirely content to sit in the shade of its own sun, exploring the mathematics of music, the ethics of existence, and the beauty of the present moment. They have no need for empires or monuments, finding that a single, well-lived day is more valuable than 1,000 conquered worlds. Let your mind follow this path of inward exploration, noticing the quiet and boundless space that exists within your own awareness. Just as these advanced beings find peace in contemplation, you can find a total and absolute rest in the silent depths of your own consciousness. The universe is a place of deep thought, and you are currently drifting into that same quiet and peaceful stream. In this light, the Fermi Paradox is not a source of fear or loneliness, but just a gentle and beautiful reminder to cherish and protect our unique cosmic bloom. We are a part of a grand and fragile garden, and our primary responsibility is to ensure that the spark of consciousness continues to shine brightly in our corner of the dark. The silence of the universe is a space for us to find our own meaning, to grow in wisdom, and to appreciate the profound miracle of being alive. Every day we survive is a triumph over the great filter, a small but significant victory for the cause of life in an indifferent vacuum. This cosmic bloom is a masterpiece that has been billions of years in the making, and we are the current caretakers of its delicate and radiant petals. By recognizing the hurdles we have already cleared, we can approach our future with a sense of unhurried grace and deep responsibility. As you surrender to the final heavy pull of sleep, feel the absolute peace that comes from being a part of this miraculous unfolding garden. You are a unique and essential part of the cosmic bloom, protected by a silence that allows you to rest and grow in perfect safety. Sleep now, knowing that the great silence is a blessing, and that your journey is a part of the most beautiful story ever told. This means that a civilization operating at the peak of its potential would find our current warm universe to be an incredibly inefficient place to exist. They would see the heat of our stars and the background radiation of the sky not as life-giving warmth, but as a source of expensive and frustrating noise. By seeking out the deepest cold, they are seeking a state where their thoughts can flow with nearly zero resistance and absolute clarity. This pursuit of the ultimate chill is the ultimate expression of a mind that has mastered the material world and is now focused entirely on the purity of thought. If we were to look closer at the temperature of our current era, we would find that the universe is still vibrating with the lingering warmth of its own energetic birth. The cosmic microwave background radiation, that ancient light we once heard as radiostatic, maintains a steady temperature of about 3 degrees above absolute zero. While this seems freezing to our biological senses, for a civilization attempting to perform ultimate flawless calculations on a galactic scale, this environment is far too warm. They require a universe where the background temperature has dropped much closer to the absolute limit of stillness. Every bit of data they process in this relatively hot epoch would require them to fight against the thermal agitation of the vacuum itself. They are waiting for the initial heat of the Big Bang to finally dissipate into the infinite expansion, allowing for a silence and a chill that we cannot yet imagine. In their view, the current universe is a boiling pot that must be allowed to cool before the soup can be properly enjoyed. They are the patient chefs of the cosmos, waiting for the perfect temperature to begin their masterwork. As you contemplate this cosmic chill, feel the soothing coolness of your own breath as it enters and leaves your body. Notice the heavy, peaceful stillness that is beginning to settle over your limbs, anchoring you to the present moment of total rest. You're safe in the quiet of this moment, just as the universe is slowly settling into its own deep, cooling slumber. This period of aestivation is a deliberate choice, a long-term strategy that prioritizes the quality of their future existence over the noisy friction of the present. They have concluded that it is far better to sleep through the current chaotic epoch than to waste their precious energy in a struggle against the current warmth. Therefore, ancient species might be peacefully hibernating in the dark, waiting for the expansion of the cosmos to naturally cool the vacuum over vast, incomprehensible eons. This hibernation is not a sign of death or failure, but a sign of extreme foresight and a mastery over the timescales of the stars. By vanishing from our view, they have effectively stepped out of the flow of time, choosing the stillness of the deep future over the frantic summer of the stars. They are resting in the shadows of the void, their great machines powered down and their spirits quieted as they wait for the optimal conditions to return. This choice transforms the galaxy from an empty desert into a vast, silent dormitory where the greatest minds are simply taking a long and necessary nap. We see only the empty halls, but the inhabitants are there, resting in a peace that far surpasses our own. Deep within this state of aestivation, the most powerful and sophisticated minds in the galaxy are currently asleep, dreaming away the billions of years while we make our first tentative steps into space. While their physical infrastructure remains dormant and covered in the frost of the vacuum, their consciousness might be wandering through internal simulations that are far more vibrant than the physical reality we inhabit. They are not dead, nor are they truly gone, but are existing in a state of suspended animation that makes them invisible to our frantic, short-lived search. These dreaming giants of the Milky Way are resting in a slumber so deep that the entire rise and fall of human civilizations is nothing more than a passing, colourful thought in their sleeping minds. They have mastered the art of internal world-building, creating entire universes within their own architecture where time and space are entirely under their control. While we struggle with the limitations of our physical world, they are exploring the infinite possibilities of the mind in a state of perfect, unhurried grace. Their silence is the silence of a visionary lost in a masterpiece of their own creation. Trillions of years from now, when the stars have long since faded and the galaxy has grown dark and quiet, these beings will slowly wake up to a perfectly chilled universe. In that distant future, the background radiation will have dropped to almost nothing, providing the ideal conditions for their ultimate projects to resume with flawless efficiency. They will find a universe that is vast, empty, and exquisitely cold, allowing for a level of computational speed and complexity that would be impossible today. The darkness of that future era is not a sign of death to them, but the dawn of their most productive and beautiful age. They see the end of the stars not as a tragedy, but as the clearing of the stage for the real performance to begin. They will wake up in a world where the noise has finally stopped, and they can finally hear the subtle music of the fundamental laws of existence. This future is their home, and they are moving toward it with the steady, unstoppable momentum of the cosmic expansion itself. Take a moment to let the idea of this patient, distant future bring a sense of absolute calm to your own mind. Feel the last of the tension leaving your neck and shoulders as you imagine the long, unhurried wait of the dreaming stars. You're part of a universe that knows how to wait, and you can find your own rest in that same patient rhythm. Our era of bright, hot stars and churning galaxies is simply the loud summer season of the cosmos, a brief and volatile period unsuitable for their delicate, icy work. We are living in the stelliferous era, a time when the universe is burning through its fuel with a reckless intensity that produces far too much noise and heat for ultimate efficiency. To an ancient and patient civilization, our current moment is like a noisy construction site that one must wait out before the real, contemplative work can begin. They see the frantic activity of the current universe as a temporary distraction, a short-lived bloom that must pass before the true, lasting silence of the cooling cosmos is established. We are the creatures of the summer, thriving in the warmth and the light, while they are the masters of the winter, waiting for the quiet frost to settle. This perspective turns our entire history into a single sunny afternoon in the life of a much older and more patient entity. The heat of our sun is just a seasonal flare, and the silence of the night is the first hint of the long, peaceful evening to come. Surprisingly, the mysterious dark matter that holds our galaxy together might even be the sleeping infrastructure of these dormant cosmic giants, hidden in plain sight. This invisible, non-reactive material does not interact with light, remaining perfectly dark and cold despite its immense gravitational influence over the stars. It could be the processed remains of ancient stars and planets, reorganized into vast, silent computation arrays that are currently powered down and waiting for the deep freeze. If this were true, the galaxy is not mostly empty, but mostly filled with the quiet, structural remains of civilizations that reached their zenith billions of years ago. We are sailing through a sea of sleeping machines, their dark shapes forming the hidden skeleton of the Milky Way. They do not need to speak or to shine, for their work is already done and their rest is well earned. The dark matter is the silent evidence of a success so great that it no longer needs the validation of the light. Such a long rest requires a level of perfect patience and a complete, unwavering trust in the quiet unfolding of physical laws over billions of years. To choose hibernation is to believe with absolute certainty that the universe will continue to expand and cool as predicted, providing the promised environment for their eventual awakening. It is a form of faith rooted in the absolute clarity of mathematics and physics, a commitment to a future that they will never see until they open their eyes in the dark. This patience is a hallmark of true cosmic maturity, a state where the needs of the individual are perfectly aligned with the timescales of the entire galaxy. They are not in a hurry, for they know that the best things in the universe take trillions of years to mature. We can learn from this patience, finding a sense of peace in the knowledge that some things are worth waiting for. Their trust in the laws of nature is a testament to the stability and the reliability of the home we all share. Notice the slow, rhythmic rising and falling of your chest, a steady and reliable process that occurs without any effort on your part. You can trust in the natural laws of your own body just as those ancient beings trust in the cooling of the distant stars. You are part of a system that is designed to function and to rest in perfect, effortless alignment. If we are currently wandering through the halls of a sleeping empire, we are like children playing softly in a quiet house during the long afternoon of a summer nap. Our loud radio signals and tiny rocket ships are the harmless games of a young species, performed while the masters of the galaxy are resting in the rooms next door. The silence we hear is not an absence of life, but the respectful hush that naturally surrounds a deep and necessary slumber. The idea of a hibernating universe transforms the terrifying silence of the Fermi Paradox into a restful, shared cosmic slumber that we are invited to join. We are part of a universe that is taking a long, deep breath, preparing itself for a future of infinite thought and quiet, crystalline beauty. The silence is not a void, but a sanctuary where the past and the future meet in a state of perfect, unhurried peace. We can rest in the knowledge that the universe is not empty, but simply sleeping, and that we are safe within its wide, dreaming embrace. Every star that fades and every galaxy that cools is a step closer to the perfect stillness that these ancient beings crave. When you close your eyes tonight, you're not just sleeping for yourself, but you're joining the great silent rhythm of the cosmos itself. This silence is a blessing, a sign that the work is finished for now and that the rest of the universe is at peace. The work is finished for now, the universe is at peace, and within this profound tranquility, we find that the true answer to the Fermi Paradox remains delightfully out of our reach. This persistent mystery is not a failure of our collective science, but a vast and fertile ground for the human imagination to flourish without the constraints of a final, cold conclusion. If we were to know the definitive answer today, the night sky would become a solved equation, a static map of known quantities that no longer invited us to dream of the impossible. Instead, the enduring silence preserves the universe as a place of infinite possibility, where every distant star can still be a unique story, and every cosmic shadow a potential friend. We are allowed to live in a world of what if, a state of perpetual wonder that keeps our curiosity alive and our spirits beautifully humble. The mystery is a gift that ensures the cosmos will always be greater than our ability to explain it, providing a landscape where our thoughts can wander forever. This unreachability is the ultimate sanctuary for the soul, a space where logic and magic can exist in perfect, unhurried harmony. We can rest in the knowledge that some secrets are meant to be kept, held in the quiet heart of the stars until we are ready to hear them. The true answer is not a destination, but a light that guides us through the beautiful dark, never fading and never demanding to be captured. Every new telescope and every robotic probe gently peels back another layer of the mystery without ever destroying the inherent luminous wonder of the cosmic architecture. As we launch more sophisticated instruments into the high dark, we see deeper into the hearts of glowing nebulae and the complex atmospheres of distant worlds, but the core of the paradox remains beautifully intact. These tools are like soft fingers tracing the intricate edges of a great tapestry, revealing the detail of the weave while the larger picture remains shrouded in a welcoming mist. We gain more data, more high-definition imagery, and more breathtaking beauty. Yet the central question of our isolation only becomes more profound and meaningful with every discovery. The more we know about the cold mechanics of the stars and the movement of the galaxies, the more we appreciate the deep magic of the silence that surrounds them. Science does not strip the mystery away or reduce the universe to a sterile list of facts. Instead, it provides the lenses we need to see just how deep and lovely the unknown truly is. Every grain of data we collect is a new brushstroke on a painting that will never truly be finished, allowing us to find peace in the act of observation itself. We are learning to appreciate the complexity of the frame without ever losing our awe for the canvas it holds. The growth of our knowledge is a slow, rhythmic movement toward a light that only grows brighter the closer we get, a process that is as relaxing as it is enlightening. Notice the weight of your head resting against the pillow, a small and safe anchor in this vast, spinning reality that we are only just beginning to map. Feel the slow, heavy warmth of your breath, a rhythmic tide that is perfectly synchronized with the quiet, ancient pulse of the universe at rest. You are a part of this immense design, held in the same patient care as the distant galaxies and the hidden moons of our neighbor worlds. Surprisingly, the quiet cosmos invites us to reflect inward on the meaning of our own consciousness and our incredibly fragile temporary existence. In the absence of a loud galactic conversation, the internal dialogue of our species becomes more focused, more intentional, and significantly more profound. The silence acts as a great dark mirror, forcing us to look at the miraculous nature of our own thoughts and the delicate balance of life that allows us to perceive the dark. We are the universe observing itself, a localized pocket of awareness that gives a name to the stars and a meaning to the void that would otherwise be silent. This reflection is a peaceful exercise stripping away the trivial noise of our daily struggles and leaving only the essential questions of who we are and why we matter. The great silence is not an empty space or a hollow rejection, but a hallowed chamber for the contemplation of the miracle of being alive. As we look out into the stillness, we find that the answers we were seeking in the stars are often already resting within the quiet chambers of our own hearts. The universe has provided us with the perfect environment for self-discovery, a vast and quiet room where we can finally hear the sound of our own spirit. We can find a deep, quiet satisfaction in simply being the part of the cosmos that is aware of the beauty of the unknown. Whether we are entirely alone in this vast ocean or part of a bustling hidden network that we cannot yet perceive, the reality of our daily lives remains beautifully and consistently the same. The coffee still steams in the morning light, the rain still taps rhythmically against the window pane, and the people we love still provide the essential warmth of human connection. The Fermi Paradox is a grand intellectual adventure of the mind, but it does not diminish the tactile and emotional richness of a single quiet afternoon on Earth. Our isolation, whether it is a physical reality or a temporary perception, makes the mundane details of our existence feel like sacred artifacts of a unique and successful biological experiment. We can find an absolute grounded peace in the fact that the answer to the riddle of the stars does not change the beauty of a sunset or the comfort of a soft blanket. The mystery of the cosmos simply adds a layer of depth to the stories we tell each other in the safe, warm circles of our homes. This consistency is a source of immense comfort, a reminder that the most important things in life are not found in the light years between suns, but in the heartbeats we share. We do not need to solve the paradox to find the meaning of our existence, for that meaning is already present in the way we care for one another. The universe remains a backdrop for the small, beautiful drama of being human, a stage that is as patient as it is vast. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest, a steady and reliable movement that requires no thought, no effort, and no external validation. Your body knows exactly how to breathe, how to rest, and how to exist in this quiet, mysterious world that is currently at peace. You're perfectly supported by the earth beneath you, and the silence around you, floating in a moment of total and absolute calm. Deep within the absence of a clear answer, we are taught a profound humility and a soft, reverent appreciation for the vast unknown that encompasses our small lives. We are reminded that despite our incredible technological progress and our deep understanding of the laws of physics, there are still fundamental secrets that we cannot yet unlock. This realization is not a source of frustration or a sign of limitation, but a gentle correction to our human ego, placing us back into a state of student-like wonder. It is a relaxing thought to know that we do not have to be the masters of all knowledge or the center of the galaxy to find profound joy in the act of exploration. The unknown is a vast open ocean that invites us to sail without the pressure of reaching a final shore or a definitive conclusion. We can find a deep, quiet satisfaction in simply being part of a universe that is far greater and more mysterious than we could ever fully comprehend in a single lifetime. This humility allows us to let go of the need for control and to embrace the simple, beautiful experience of being a witness to the grand design. We are students of the stars, learning the language of the silence at a pace that is natural and unhurried. The lack of an answer is a space of freedom, a territory of the mind where we are allowed to remain forever young and forever curious. Staring into the dark allows humanity to project its highest hopes and its quietest, most vulnerable dreams onto the blank and infinite canvas of space. The stars become a celestial gallery for our collective imagination, a place where we can envision futures defined by peace, discovery, and an eternal, childlike curiosity. In the absolute silence of the void, we find a clear mirror for our own potential, seeing the best and most noble versions of ourselves reflected in the distant, flickering lights. Every light year of empty space is a room for a new dream, a sanctuary where our aspirations can drift without the heavy weight of earthly limitations or past mistakes. This process of projection is a form of collective meditation, a way for our species to define its deepest values by looking at the emptiness and deciding what should fill it with meaning. The paradox gives us the precious freedom to believe that the future is whatever we have the courage and the imagination to build together. We can look at the dark and see not an end, but a beginning, a space that is waiting for the unique touch of our own creativity and compassion. This mental wandering is a peaceful and expansive exercise, allowing our spirits to grow until they are as large as the galaxies we contemplate. The universe is a canvas that will never be full, a space that always has room for one more hopeful thought. This structure of an enduring mystery unites us as a single species, looking out from a small pale blue dot into the overwhelming expanse of the galactic disk. The shared question of our place in the universe acts as a powerful and invisible bond, transcending the borders, languages, and differences that often divide our earthly lives. When we look at the stars together, we do not look as citizens of a single country or followers of a specific ideology, but as inhabitants of a single, fragile and beautiful home. Our common curiosity and our shared sense of isolation create a powerful planetary identity that is both deeply humbling and remarkably strengthening. We are all passengers on the same small vessel, navigating a quiet and ancient ocean together, and this shared journey is far more important than any of our individual disagreements. The silence of the universe is a call to be kinder to one another, recognizing that we are each other's only companions in this specific, mysterious corner of the dark. This unity is a source of profound peace, a realization that we are never alone as long as we have each other to share the wonder. We are a family of explorers, bound together by a riddle that requires our collective wisdom and our shared compassion to navigate. The paradox is the common ground where we can all meet, set down our burdens, and simply look up in awe. If we were to look closer at the design of our isolation, we might find that the silent universe gives us the necessary space to grow, to make mistakes, and to find our own way. We are like a young, delicate plant in a vast and empty garden, provided with all the sunlight and soil we need to discover our own unique form and our own internal strength. If the galaxy were crowded, loud, and filled with the voices of others, our own cultural and technological development might have been overshadowed or dictated by those who came before us. Instead, we have been granted the luxury of absolute privacy, allowing us to build our civilizations, our philosophies, and our dreams from the ground up on our own terms. This isolation is a protective cradle, a quiet and secluded nursery where we can test our ideas and learn from our errors without the fear of outside judgment or correction. The silence is a magnificent gift of autonomy, ensuring that the human story is written entirely by human hands and guided by human hearts. We are being allowed to mature at our own natural pace, finding our own definitions of success and our own paths toward wisdom. This freedom is the ultimate expression of the universe's respect for our potential, providing a stage where we are the sole directors of our own play. We can find a deep sense of rest in the knowledge that our growth is entirely our own, a beautiful and organic unfolding in the dark. Perhaps the search itself is the most important part of our cosmic journey, gently drawing our minds out into the stars and expanding our fundamental understanding of what it means to be alive. The act of looking, of questioning, and of building the sophisticated tools to see further is what truly defines the resilient and curious spirit of our species. We are transformed and elevated by the pursuit of the answer, growing in wisdom and compassion as we attempt to bridge the vast gaps between the distant worlds. The destination may be centuries away, or it may not exist at all in the way we currently imagine, but the journey has already made our own world richer, deeper, and more interconnected. The Fermi Paradox is the ultimate catalyst for human growth, a mystery that keeps us moving, thinking, and reaching for something greater and more lasting than our own individual lives. We find our true meaning not in the moment of final discovery, but in the persistent, beautiful, and courageous effort to understand the universe we inhabit. This realization allows us to let go of the anxiety of the unknown and to find joy in the process of the search itself. Every day we spend looking for a signal is a day we spend learning more about ourselves and our own capacity for wonder. The search is a song that we are singing to the stars, a melody of hope that gives our lives a sense of eternal purpose and peace. In the end, the Fermi Paradox is not a frightening void or a sign of cold, cosmic neglect, but a peaceful and eternal invitation to keep learning and exploring together as a unified species. It is a quiet and beautiful call to adventure that never expires, a riddle that remains open for every new generation of humans to ponder, enjoy, and find their own meaning within. The silence is a sanctuary of time, a space where we can prepare ourselves for whatever the grand future might eventually hold for our children. We can close our eyes and drift into the dark with a heart full of gratitude, knowing that the mystery is our friend and the silence is our home. The universe is at peace, the house is safe, and we are exactly where we are meant to be in the grand and lovely design of all things. The invitation is always open, the path is always clear, and the rest is well earned. The great silence of the cosmos is not an empty void, but a quiet, patient mirror reflecting our own rare and beautiful consciousness back to us. The great silence of the cosmos is not an empty void, but a quiet, patient mirror reflecting our own rare and beautiful consciousness back to us. This final realization ties our entire journey together, suggesting that our search for others is ultimately a way to see ourselves more clearly. We are the eyes through which the universe looks at itself, a small and precious light in a vast, waiting dark. Deep within the stillness of your own room, let your focus shift from the distant stars to the heavy, grounded reality of your own body at rest. Start with your toes, feeling them go limp and heavy as if they were sinking into soft, warm sand on a distant shore. Your feet and ankles follow this lead, releasing every last bit of effort until they are completely still and unmoving in the dark. Moving upward, notice how your calves and knees begin to dissolve into the mattress, losing all tension and weight. This sensation of deep relaxation spreads into your thighs and hips, anchoring you firmly to the surface beneath you. Your lower half is now a part of the bed, a solid and peaceful foundation for the rest of your body to follow. Surprisingly, the weight of your torso feels like a gentle anchor, holding you in a state of perfect, unmoving safety. Let the muscles in your lower back and stomach soften, allowing your breath to move with a deep and natural ease. Your chest rises and falls with a rhythm that is as steady and reliable as the deep internal pulse of a body in repose. As the weight moves into your shoulders, feel them drop away from your ears, settling into the pillow with a long sigh of relief. This relaxation flows slowly down your arms, through your elbows, and into the very tips of your fingers. Your hands are open and soft, resting without purpose or direction in the cool, smooth fabric of the clean sheets. This quiet room is a sanctuary of privacy, where the only sound is the hushed, rhythmic flow of your own breathing. You're tucked away in a place of total security, where the walls are steady and the floor is firm and unchanging. The air around you is cool and still, wrapping your body in a soft, invisible blanket of absolute comfort. If we were to look closer at the support beneath you, we would find a mattress that molds itself perfectly to the unique shape of your resting form. Every fibre of the bedding is soft and welcoming, inviting you to sink deeper into the layers of cotton and foam. Your neck and jaw lose their last remnants of resistance, letting your head become a heavy and peaceful weight on the soft pillow. Beneath the surface of the shadows, the world outside has faded into a distant and irrelevant memory that no longer holds any weight. The light is absent, allowing your eyes to rest behind their lids in a state of total, velvety stillness that feels like a warm embrace. Your forehead is smooth and clear, as if every thought has been gently brushed away by a cool, passing hand of peace. Your breath has become a slow, melodic current, pulling you further and further into the center of a dreamless and absolute peace. Every exhale is a final release, a letting go of the day, and a surrender to the soft, heavy pull of the bed. The room is a temple of rest, and you are its only inhabitant, drifting in the perfect, unhurried grace of the quiet hours. And now, 101 wonders are resting with you. Sleep now. Good night.